Non, attends, on n'était pas du tout synchro. Yo soy español. All right. I always loved to travel. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so when I grew up, I never really had the chance to travel with my parents, brother, and family. Since I was fascinated by traveling, I just thought, like when I grew up, I'm gonna travel. But for me to travel, you need to have money. And during my studies, I didn't have any money, so I decided to start working for pretty much 5 to 6 years. Essentially, I did every student job I could do. I've done a lot of babysitting. I was a teacher. So I did pretty much everything I could do just to save money so I could travel for a year. When I graduated with my best friend, we decided to start our world tour. But the truth is, my best friend and I didn't have enough money for this world tour. So what we decided was, okay, what is the best way for us to be able to travel without having to spend too much money on accommodation? And at the same time, how could we make our experience something unique and unforgettable? So that's when we started thinking about how could we leverage social networks and social media in order for us to stay at people's home for free. And by searching online, we found out this amazing website called Couchsurfing, where essentially people are really happy to welcome you into their home and you don't pay anything. The idea is just that people are gonna bring value to you, and in exchange later on you'll bring value to other people. So we created our Facebook page, we created an Instagram account, and we created also our Couchsurfing profile. The truth is that when we created our Couchsurfing profile, we just we just need one profile for the two of us because we're gonna be traveling together. We received from time to time messages of people who were more interested, I think, in meeting us, but not in a friendly way, I would say.
Whoa.
Our first destination was China. For me, China has always been a fascinating country. The way, they've been developing their culture in the last 30 years is just something I was so interested in. The first step where we arrived in Beijing, and we were actually hosted by a really, really nice guy. His name was Justin. He was a TV producer, and he was super, super kind. It was our first couchsurfing ever. He invited us to restaurants. He made us a tour of the city. I think we stayed in total maybe 5 days in Beijing with him. Finding such kindness in strangers, for me, it was just really amazing. So we went later on, to Shanghai and the Shanghai region. And again, over there, we met actually with another guy who was French, married to a Chinese. It was really, really nice of them to host us. Afterwards, we were more into the Chinese countryside, which I think was also an amazing trip. From China, we actually took the train to Vietnam. This time we were hosted by really amazing people. They were students, most of them. We realized that, in Vietnam, everything is super, super safe. They were leaving open doors everywhere. And for me, this was a culture shock because, in France, you're gonna lock your doors whenever you leave, etc. Over there, they really didn't care because they know that there are no thieves. After Vietnam, we went also to Thailand, where, we met with such a generous persons. People were doing this for free, meaning that, they were not asking anything in return. It was really about building relationship, meeting with other people, and, exchanging about our journey, our trip. And I really enjoyed it. In Malaysia, we didn't stay too much, but essentially it was also cool being able to meet with great people. And later on, when we went to Bali in Indonesia, one of my dreams came true, which was climbing a volcano. We did it on our own, which is the biggest one in Bali. And it was really I think the most stupid thing I've ever done. We didn't have money, so we were okay, it's fine. We're not gonna take a guide. It's gonna be easy, etc. But in the end, we got lost. It was in the middle of the night. We almost died multiple times. And it was quite scary, especially because we were doing that at night. But it's you only live once, but you should always be careful, with your life. Those things shouldn't really happen. In Australia, it was also crazy because Australia was one of the first expensive, I would say, country. I mean, it's European or US type level, but compared to Asia, where everything is super cheap, in Australia, we're okay, there is no way that we are gonna pay accommodation in Australia because, we just don't have a lot of money. In Australia, what was the most amazing experience in my life is when I did skydive for the first time. This moment where you feel you're gonna die. It's basically when you start jumping out of the plane and then you're wondering, why the fuck am I doing this? But later on, the adrenaline is so huge that it's such a feeling of fulfillment. New Zealand was also great. It was the first time we were actually like renting a car, and we drove like across all New Zealand. We were sleeping in the car most of the time, I'm not gonna lie, but it was great for, you know, like saving a bit of money and also for traveling, because if you can sleep in your car, essentially you can sleep like anywhere you want and you can see as many countryside and lands as you want. The conditions and cleaning conditions were very basic. We were like washing ourselves anytime we could find like a bit of water and everything, but overall, like to me, it was one of the most beautiful like country when it comes to nature and everything. I was like so fulfilled, feeling the freedom, living, you know, like really in the nature, not meeting with a lot of people, but just, you know, disconnecting and seeing like the beauty of Mother Earth. Then after finishing our trip in Oceania, we went to like Peru. It was also a dream for me like to go in the Machu Picchu. So again, amazing times over there. Then we went to Bolivia, where I had the chance to become like a English teacher for a bit because we wanted to stay longer at some point in Sucre, which is like the capital of Bolivia. I think it was the first time in 6 months that we were able to stay more than a week in the same place. Whenever you want to work in some places, we were also using like woofing, which is a great way to stay in exchange of work. So essentially you work and you get accommodation for free. And we did that also in Colombia, where we worked in a coffee farm. But in the end, we were basically like taking care of animals, which was quite scary. Like I almost got killed by like a cow, which is I think the worst death ever. It was good fun. And then in Brazil, it was also really nice because Arthur's parents were able to join us in Brazil. So we spent a bit of time with them, etc. And it was good, you know, like to see friendly faces, because when you're traveling and whenever you're moving every 2 days or every 3 days, you know, like you feel like in 6 months you've lived for maybe like 18 years, because the amount of experience, the amount of people you meet is so dense that a month, you know, feel like a year. And this is quite crazy, you know, and it's an amazing feeling, and it's really, really tiring. In Brazil, we also like spent 10 days on a boat, sleeping in hammocks on the Amazonia. So it's like the slowest boat ever, but our goal was to take the cheapest option to go from Brazil to Colombia. Amazing experience. It's a great way to meet with people, connect, exchange, and you see that whenever you don't have a lot of things, this is when people actually share the most, which I think is something I really try to keep as I grew up. Afterwards, you know, we were like really going through Central America and doing pretty much every single country. We stopped a bit in Costa Rica where we did woofing again. Nicaragua was also like great. So going up, you know, like until Mexico, we went through like amazing countries in Central America, meeting with a lot of really, really cool and generous people. And for me, it was also a great way to speak Spanish. We met with so many amazing people that, you know, it was really, really like fulfilling. But to be entirely honest, we had planned to do like 1 full year of traveling. But at the end, the truth is that you have to imagine that every 2 to 3 days, you need to think about like the other city you're gonna be into. You never know who's gonna be hosting you, because even though, you know, like we had some amazing experiences, from time to time, some people were like actually extremely weird. Like we had like people watching us when we were sleeping. We had someone making us sleep in his basement. The truth is, like, every time you're moving, you never know who you're gonna meet. 90% of the time it was amazing and it went fine, etc. But you still have that 10% chance of you don't know what's gonna happen. At the end of those like 10 months, we're like exhausted. Eventually we are like thinking, okay, right now it's summertime in Paris, so I think it would be great for us to come home, but we're not gonna tell our parents, and we're gonna make like a huge surprise. And to come back, you know, home, making surprise like this was just simply like an awesome feeling. Whenever you're far away from home, you realize the importance of your family, of friendships, of all the person that you care a lot about. So during this year traveling, what I realized is that what matters the most to me is my freedom. Being free to do whatever I want to do, being free to go wherever I want to go. The biggest learnings during this trip for me were really that it's important to go out of your comfort zone, because this is whenever you're going out of your comfort zone that you're really like learning and meeting with people that you never thought you could actually meet. And for me, this was amazing. I was lucky enough to do it not on my own, to be honest, because I think if I was on my own, I wouldn't have met that many people, because my best friend and I, we have like the same mindset and we always push each other. This trip for me, it was life-changing, because my entire life I've always been like introvert for a long time. So for me it was really difficult like to reach out to people I don't know. I always felt like I was disturbing people. I was like never doing anything. This trip was really eye-opening, and I realized that, you know, you can have talks and chat with pretty much everyone you want and it's not gonna kill you. So for me, I've always been very uncomfortable in asking, you know, things to people that I didn't know. But actually in the end, you know, I realized that overall people are always happy to help each other. And if they are not, again, it's not gonna kill you in the end. So asking is something free, you know, like you can always do it. And even though it puts you outside of your comfort zone, that's exactly what will help you grow, become the best version of yourself. And later on, I think, to be honest, you know, you feel proud also about all the things you've accomplished. That's the most important part. So enjoy the journey. Always remember, you know, like where you're coming from and what you've accomplished, because it's important to celebrate every little win. Feel free to always challenge yourself and try to become, you know, like the best version of yourself.
Nothing comes easy in life.
We said no.